Oh yeah. Yeah, I spent all day yesterday finally getting all my books put away. It took me all afternoon. I was finally done, and then I realized I forgot my ex-wife's funeral. So you gotta take the good with the good, I guess. Two, three, four. Ba-na-na-na-na-na. No, that's not how it goes. Take two. Two, three, four. Did it ba da 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 da. Stiddy ba ba dee ba da. Rip it bit bop it da do. It's Wednesday. I'm in love. Hi, everybody. I accidentally did the old theme music from a show that's been deleted. Hi, my name's Jimmy. I went to the comic shop today and I bought some stuff. Picks of the week. Ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. All right. How have you been? Good. First up, we have tomorrow, number one. This is on the Dark Horse publisher label. I always get. I'm so used to talking about record labels when I'm standing in my closet talking into my phone. So I keep thinking of these publishers as being labels. They're not. This is from Dark Horse. It's all under an imprint called Berger Books, this is the first that I've heard about it. Karen Berger was the editor for DC's Vertigo imprint all through the 1990s when Vertigo was at its height. And she was fired kind of unceremoniously about 7 or 8 years ago, I want to say. And I mean, the Vertigo line had already kind of ground to a halt by then. I think they're still kind of keeping it going. I think there's an occasional. I know they did a whole. DC did a whole reboot on all the. You know what? That's not really here nor there. It would appear that Dark Horse has snagged up Karen Berger. In fact, if I remember right now, I think I remember hearing that back in like 2013 or so when she got fastballed, or maybe that was 2009. And they've given her her own imprint. And if this is any indication, she's going to shoot for another Vertigo sort of a thing. For one thing, this book is sort of a darker fantasy. It takes place in a dystopian future. What? Not this one, but a different one, a fictional one, where all the adults have died, which I know has been used. That premise has been used before, and I'm honestly hard pressed to remember where, but I know it has been. Not that there's anything wrong with reusing a premise, especially because the writer is Peter Milligan, who is one of my favorite writers and has been since I was a lad. He cut his eye teeth at Vertigo as well, writing his version of Shade the Changing Man, and also books like Sebastian. No, that was Grant Morrison. Enigma was Peter Milligan. Screamer was Peter Milligan. He had another bigger one at Vertigo. Like a Shade was like 70 some issues, and then he had another, maybe not. Wait, I just pulled it up, didn't I? Sorry. Can you go ahead and pause? Just cut for a second. Nope, that was the one I was thinking of. Peter Milligan's also had some pretty decent mainstream success. He wrote X-Force for Marvel for a while. He's written some, he wrote Infinity Inc., Justice League Dark, I want to say. So yeah, he's no slouch, is what I'm getting at. And I'm buying anything he's doing, is basically what I'm trying to say. So there's that. All right, I'm already trying to. I've been trying to keep this short this week, and now I'm really already failing. My other two, the rest of the stuff that I got at the shop today was all pretty much Marvel stuff, and a lot of it was all stuff that I had talked about before, so I didn't see any point in doing that. But I picked up a couple graphic novels this week, and I thought I'd show those to you as well. So first here we have Batman, the Dark Joker, M the Wild. This is Elseworlds book from 1993. It was written by Doug Moench and Kelly Jones. I found out today that Doug Moench's name is actually pronounced Doug Monk. But since I've been saying Doug Moench since I was 11 years old, I can't just stop today and start pronouncing it correctly. What am I? What am I, a person who speaks English correctly? Yeah, like I said, this is an Elseworlds book. My friend, the very funny and talented Newman Wolf, found this for me on one of his thrift store jaunts. He's often texting me photographs of comics that he happens across in the wild. The wild, you see. And this was only $1, I think. And I told him, I was like, yeah, get it. I didn't think he meant for me. I thought he wanted to know if he should get it. Like, he sent me the photograph, and I went, yeah, that's probably worth some money because all these Elseworlds books are out of print, and they're still very popular. When I worked in the shop back home, we could never keep them in stock. The second owner, my friend Frank, owned the joint, we were constantly trying to keep those things in stock, and it was not easy. So I'm looking forward to that. Oh, right. So Moench and Kelly Jones worked together rather extensively around this time. This is from 93, and this is around the time that Moench was doing his like second long run on Batman, and Kelly Jones drew a bunch of that. This was during the Nightfall thing where Bruce Wayne got his back broken. And my favorite thing that Doug Moench has ever done, though, his Batman stuff is great. My favorite, his Moon Knight stuff is terrible, oddly enough, because he co-created that book, and Bill Sienkiewicz drew on it. It's bad. But Doug Moench wrote Master of Kung Fu, which is one of the best comics of the Bronze Age, especially because Paul Gulacy drew it. But Doug Moench's, Gulacy's definitely the star of that show, but Moench's scripts are pretty good, too, I will say. Okay. Oh, and then Kelly Jones. Kelly Jones drew Len Wein's final Swamp Thing story, and he also drew, Bernie Wrightson, the last thing Bernie Wrightson did before he died was draw Frankenstein story, and it is the best work that Bernie Wrightson ever did in his extensive career, and Kelly Jones finished that out. So I just hope this doesn't mean Doug Moench is going to die. Right? From the thing that they collaborated on almost 30 years ago. And then here else we have Deadpool, Bad Blood, another hardcover graphic novel. The cool thing about this one is that it's an old library book. I like that. But this is part of the Marvel original graphic novel line, which I think is over now. It started real strong with an Avengers story by Warren Ellis, and then another one by Rick Remender, and then there was Mark Waid did a Spider-Man one in there where we first meet Peter Parker's sister, who's now like an in-canon character. She's in the regular books and stuff. And it was also where Jim Starlin got all the rest of his Thanos stories out. Like this line, I want to say it started around 2013, I want to say. And yeah, it was really good. They put some of the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter under that imprint as well. But I looked online, I couldn't find, those were no longer on the official list, so I guess they don't really count because they suck. Why did I do this and then not lower my voice? Also, who am I to tell you what sucks and what doesn't? I'm stoked for this, not just because I have grown to really like Deadpool as a character. When he was first created back in the early 90s, I was losing my patience with superhero books, especially those drawn by Rob Liefeld. Look, he even learned how to draw feet. And look, they even gave Liefeld top billing over the writers. Not cool. Anyway. Yeah, Rob Liefeld created Deadpool back in the early 90s, maybe the late 80s, and it didn't care. And then Daniel Way started writing Deadpool in the early 2000s, and I was like, oh, this is much better now. Liefeld's come back, like he did Major X last year, which was like a miniseries, which wasn't bad. I think it was largely due to my own sort of nostalgia. In fact, it's entirely due to that. Who am I kidding? But now I only have the Squirrel Girl graphic novel and then the last Thanos trilogy that Starlin did, because he was banging them out. They went right past me. Anyway, that's picks of the week. Da-da-ba-da-ba-da. And now picks of last week. Dee-dee-ba-da. Gosh, I got a minute and a half. All right. So last week I read Superman Smashes the Klan. I should be doing this. Superman Smashes the Klan. Number 3 of 3. This was good. Really good ending to the story. And it was really, when you're telling stories like this, there's a real temptation to go schmaltzy. And this book avoids that. And I wouldn't expect anything else out of Yang. He's a really good writer, just based on his new Superman series alone. But also what was really cool about this, and which was something that I didn't really see coming, although it seems very obvious now, was that he drew a direct connection between these young immigrant children, or the children of immigrants, and this immigrant from another solar system. And that was really something. And it was really well handled and really well done. I highly recommend it. If you want to, have your kids read something of some social importance, that would be a good place to start. That's why they gave it the little Scholastic size. That's my guess, anyway. Also, last week, I read Bang Number 1 by Matt Kint and Wilfredo Torres. This was killer. Because not only, it was pretty obviously like a James Bond-y thing, and even just flipping through it. Also, Keanu Reeves said it. So, you're going to argue with Ted Theodore Logan? I don't think so. But when I read the book and very much enjoyed it, and then at the back, Matt Kint had a little sort of, This is what I'm doing with this book. And so what he's really doing, and which really comes through to me, is he's trying to do more of like an 80s action, an 80s TV action. Not like Schwarzenegger and Stallone, the movie action guys, but like The Equalizer or Simon and Simon. He doesn't mention Simon and Simon specifically, but that's where my mind always goes to that when I think of 80s action television, because it took place in San Diego, and that's where I took place for most of my childhood. Anyway, that's very exciting. So I'm really stoked on this. I'm glad I started it. I'm trying to be pickier with titles that I pick up. And something like this, I might have normally waited for the trade, but I'm glad I went in for it now, especially because it's probably only going to be 4 or 5 issues anyways. And then finally, of course, the departure point. Wolverine #1. That's what Bruce calls that one Doors album after he kisses it in The Kids in Law. Wolverine #1 was a lot of fun. That's all I really have to add. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. Also, I don't think I remember any details fine enough to spoil them. There are 2 stories in this one. They're both written by Benjamin Percy. One of them was drawn by Adam Kubert, who is the son of Joe Kubert. And I can never remember if it's Kubert or Kubert. Kubert was a video game in the 80s. No, wait, that was Joe Kubert. Kubert, the orange guy with no arms and the nose, he drew Star Spangled War stories in the 70s. Okay. This was really fun. I have no complaints. But if I had been writing Wolverine #1, which I hope to one day, I would have liked to have seen it go back to the first, not the Miller and Claremont one, but the first regular series with John Buscema and who wrote that first run? Gosh. Was it Claremont? I think it was Claremont. Claremont wrote everything X related back then. So in that book, that series started out with Wolverine. The world thought he was dead. The world thought the X-Men were dead. And so he was like in disguise with an eye patch. In Madripoor, they called him Patch. The eye patch is no lamer than Clark Kent's disguise, if you want to get right down to it. Hi, I'm getting defensive. I would have liked that. Characters like Roughhouse and Tiger and Blood Scream, I think was that one guy's name. I would have liked to return to all that, but that's just because I'm very much in the market for nostalgic superhero books. I still really like this, and it does share a similarity to that original Wolverine series in that at the time he was also in the X-Men series like he is now, but this book, the solo series, really makes it clear like this is not Wolverine on a team being a team player. This is Wolverine being a lone wolf and not the most likable guy in the world necessarily, but, you know, a guy who gets things done. So I do enjoy that. The spirit of the original Wolverine continuing series is alive in this book. Oh, good. Only 13 minutes long. All right. Well, that's it for this week, everybody. But we'll be back next week with more funny books. And a 2, 3, 4. Dee-dee-ba-ba-dee-dee-doo. Stid-it-bit-da-ba-ba-ba. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I'm sure it can wait.